Can you own fully automatic weapons with your FFL? Okay guys, today I'm going to be answering about a bajillion and two questions that you guys have all answered related to my other video on how to get your FFL, which you can see here. Actually, I think it's posted over there. Okay, first off, I want to say that everything in this video is not legal advice, and reach out to your own local attorneys, the ATF office, and make sure that you are not going to break the law. I'm just giving you guidelines and my understanding of what I have read up to this point. Okay, so let's first get into it. So this one I'm going to read directly. So this user says, hey, around your video about getting an FFL, have a couple questions if you don't mind me asking. I want to get an FFL that would cover me selling guns like a typical gun store. I'd also want to be able to rent out full auto guns for customers to shoot on an on-site range, and also want to manufacture guns. Which type of FFL should I get? Should I get an 01, or would the 07 cover everything I want to do? Thanks so much. This one is kind of a very broad range of different things that you'd have to, and licenses you'd have to get. So first off, you want to manufacture guns, you want to sell guns. So that's going to be your 07. Second, he mentions that he wants to manufacture and or deal with fully automatic weapons. So that is what is typically referred to in the gun community as a class 3, which it's not really a class 3 license. It is a class 3 SOT, special occupational tax. He could either get a 2 or a 3 depending on what he wanted to do. So the 2 would allow him to manufacture his own firearms rather than going out and buying them, fully automatic as well. But each one that he manufactures has to be registered with the federal government. There's a whole form for that. It's a pain in the butt. So then he mentions that he wants to rent out fully automatic weapons. So first off, renting a fully automatic weapon is going to be a no-go. So with NFA items, nobody is allowed to use it other than the people of the FFL or a trustee. Nobody's allowed to transport or do anything like that unless you are physically present. You have to physically be there. So even if you had an on-site range, and now you're going to want to consult a local attorney to see what exactly it would entail you being physically present, but typically it means if somebody's shooting your fully automatic weapon, you're literally right there. So it kind of sounded like this guy wanted to be at the desk, the counter of the store where other people are going out shooting his fully automatic weapon at the range. That's not going to fly. Okay, next question is, can you do your own fingerprints? The answer to that is absolutely yes, but you do have to do it on the official card. You can't just go print something out. Okay, after that, somebody wanted to see, hey, can I get in touch with my local ATF agent? And the answer is kind of. You can get in touch with your local field office. So go to the link that I put in the description below, select your area, and figure out what your field office is and reach out to them if you have any other questions. Okay, one thing that people are a little afraid of when they get an at-home FFL is the inspections that can happen. And yes, the ATF can show up whenever the heck they want to do an inspection, and you have to let them because you have an FFL. Now, typically it's something that they're going to schedule with you. They're not just going to show up randomly, but yeah, they're going to want to see all your guns and everything that your whole operation. And if they find something at fault, they could fine you, they could revoke your license, or if you were doing illegal stuff, they could prosecute you and throw you in jail. So don't break the law. Another question is, people ask, is there a gun safe storage requirement if you have an FFL and you're dealing guns? The answer is no, as per se requirement by the ATF, but there are some strong recommendations, and I'm sure if you're just leaving guns lying around where people can get to them, they're going to find something to pull your license. And local laws, so you're going to want to look, the local and state laws may have their own storage requirements for FFLs, so you're going to want to look those up. But anyway, I'd recommend getting a safe anyway, because if a firearm does get stolen, you have to report it within 48 hours, and if you don't, and it's used in a crime, you're going to go to jail. So don't be stupid. Somebody had a question on what a dealer sample is. Okay, so when you have an FFL with your class 2 or 3 special occupational tax, you can legally own full auto firearms. Now, when you get into the world of full auto firearms, the way that you get one, it's a little tricky. So as a regular civilian you can, but it has to be a pre-1986 model. So there was some legislation passed that said civilians cannot own any firearm that was manufactured after 1986. So those are fully transferable. Now FFLs, they can actually own firearms that were post 1986. These are oftentimes referred to as samples or dealer samples. So it's for you to do demonstrations to law enforcement. You can do demonstrations to other people that may other FFLs. You can use it for whatever legal business purposes that you want. But these are dealer samples. Now they're also between 1968 and 1986. There was some legislation passed in 1968 that no fully automatic firearms that were imported between those years, 1968 to 1986, that are transferable either. So there's kind of another range there that are often referred to as pre-sample, and the other ones that I referred to earlier as post-sample. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I'm going to do a whole separate video on how to legally obtain fully automatic weapons, and I'm going to tell you right now, it is a huge pain in the butt. The next question is, do I need a business license? And I'm going to say it depends on your FFL, and it kind of depends on what you're doing, and it depends on your local government, but the end answer is most likely you probably are going to need one. Okay, the other one is, do I need to engage in business activity to keep your FFL and special occupational tax? And the answer is absolutely freaking yes. You cannot get an FFL just for your own purposes so you can get guns for cheap. If you tell the ATF agent interviewing you that, they're going to tell you that you're not going to get your license. And if they find out later during your inspection that you're not dealing in selling and trading firearms or whatever your specific FFL is, then you're going to lose your FFL. So you need to engage in business. Is a business entity or LLC or such that required? And the answer is no, it's not required. FFLs can be given to you as an individual. But if you're going to be engaging in business, you're probably going to want one anyway, just so there's a legal barrier between you personally and your business entity. With an FFL, can firearms be delivered to your home? Well, it depends. Is the home the address of your FFL? If the answer is yes, then yes, they can be delivered to your FFL. Now that gets into the next question is, how do you distinguish between your FFL firearms and your personal firearms? And there is a huge distinguishment that needs to take place. You're going to have your own personal firearms, and then you're going to have your FFL's firearms. Everything your FFL gets and sells is going to have to go in what's called your A&D book, your acquisitions and dispositions book. So let's say you personally want a firearm after you get an FFL. Guess what? It's going through your FFL. It's going to come in as an acquisition and go back out to you personally as a disposition. Now, the FFL firearms and your personal firearms, those are going to need to be separated, and ideally in different safes or different locations or stored off-site. And if they are in your business location, it's probably going to be smart to label not for sale. Do you have to notify the chief law enforcement officer when you're getting FFL / special operation tax and all this? The answer is absolutely yes, you do, and that is your responsibility. And it comes down to essentially when you're doing an FFL and dealing with guns, people are going to know about it. The ATF's going to know about it. The federal government's going to know about it. Your mom's going to know about it. Your buddies are going to know about it. The local law enforcement's going to know about it. So they ain't doing no shady business. Can you have multiple FFLs? The answer to that is absolutely yes. Why would you want multiple FFLs? Let's say you want to sell firearms, but you want to also manufacture ammunition, kind of like what I do, cast your own bullets and sell that as well. So yeah, you would probably want your 01 FFL to sell firearms, and then you'd want your 06 FFL, like the one I got, to manufacture ammunition. What is the interview like? So the interview is honestly pretty chill. At least mine was. I imagine it's going to depend on your FFL agent, whether they're pro 2A or not so pro 2A. We all know some ATF agents are not so pro 2A. The one I got was pro 2A. She was super nice, answered all my questions, left me a business card. Depending on the type of FFL you get, your interview may be very, very long. And the last question is, can I assemble a gun for somebody else without an FFL? So I know lots of people like to buy kits. You know, I put some stuff on that you can get from Palmetto State Armory and the lowers, and that's great. So some people are like, hey, can I engage in like, hey, I'm going to assemble this firearm for somebody else and, you know, have an assembly service where I charge some, you know, money to put it together? And the answer is, without an FFL, the ATF's probably going to get mad at you. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to get mad at you, because when you are in physical possession of that lower receiver for an AR-15, for example, you are in possession of that. So that means they transferred it to you, and then you are going to transfer it to them. Now, there is such a thing as a private transfer, but the ATF is going to look at, are you doing business with it? Are you doing it with the intention to transfer or sell? And so if you're in business of assembling firearms for somebody else, I'm going to say you're going to go ahead and need to get your FFL. Okay, guys, I hope that answered every question that you had on FFLs. I know it answered every question that I've been asked up to this point on FFLs, unless I missed something. If so, put it in the comments below, and I will answer it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching and for your feedback and your support. I'm looking forward to the next year, 2022. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please consider doing so. It don't cost you a dang thing. And thanks for watching. See you on the next time.